I'm sure the chairman will explain a bit about the reasons for this late start. But nevertheless, it's always a pleasure to be with you at this national briefing. Today, we will maintain our format. We'll take the chairman first, then we'll take the technical updates before we take any updates from the ministers, and then we'll go to the questions and answer session. So let's begin with the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the Secretary to Government of the Federation. Mr. Chairman.
Members of the Presidential Task Force, Permanent Secretaries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me add my voice to the apology by the Permanent Secretary, GSO. The day has far gone. It's almost 5 o'clock. We regret this delayed start in the briefing. The meeting went quite long because we had so many things to deal with and to discuss as we forge ahead, preparatory to the end of the second phase of the ease of the lockdown. However, I welcome you all to the national briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for Thursday, 16th July 2020. The virulent nature of COVID-19 pandemic continues to torment humanity, going by numbers around the world, in Africa and at home. As at midnight on 15th July 2020, Nigeria had recorded 760 fatalities in total, while 34,259 cases have been confirmed nationwide in the 36 states of the Federation plus the Federal Capital Territory. The fatalities recorded are very painful, and we collectively convey once more our condolences to families, friends, and associates of those that have succumbed to the impact of the virus at various times. Particularly today, we sympathize with the medical profession over the loss of one of its top professionals who has been in the forefront of the fight against COVID-19. The demise of Professor Lawson of Zankli Hospital, Abuja, as a result of COVID-19 underscores the risk faced by our medical workers who were hitherto our frontliners, but now have become our last line of defense. Some of us have had personal contacts with Professor Lawson. I think for me it's over 25 to 30 years ago when he attended to my wife. And I know that he's built a very good practice here in the city of Abuja. And it's one of the reference pillars. But you can see the virulent and very dangerous nature of COVID-19. You can never be over careful in dealing with COVID-19. The PTF shall continue to monitor developments and communicate with Nigerians in the most effective ways. The risk associated with contracting the virus. We shall also remind you always to comply with the non-pharmaceutical measures put in place. Let me emphasize that the reasons for extending phase 2 of the eased lockdown are still present, and that we need to change our behavior. As we continue to monitor compliance, we emphasize that all restrictions that have been eased remain subject to review if the need arises. As part of the non-pharmaceutical measures, we recommended, in line with global practice, the use of hand sanitizers. Ordinarily, that ought to stimulate local production because of increased demand. However, we regret to inform you that following a survey conducted by the Nigeria Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, NIPRID, to check the influx of substandard goods into the market, it was revealed that 63% of alcohol-based sanitizers in Abuja do not have NAFDAC registration numbers. There could also be similar situations around the country. The Honorable Minister of Health has consequently issued an advisory to the general public to procure their sanitizers and other pharmaceutical products from credible sources. The Presidential Task Force equally appeals to the patriotic spirit of Nigerians and requests that they should desist from manufacturing substandard goods which could further endanger our unsuspecting Nigerians who innocently purchase them. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to turn adversity into victory by growing our entrepreneurial skills and industry base. Let us find growth at the end of the pandemic. Today, we have been compelled to add the fight against the products to our national, against fake products to our national response. You will all recall that the aviation sector reopened domestic operations on the 8th of July 2020. Dry runs were carried out and guidelines meant to protect all travelers were issued. A lot of you here participated on the 2 dry runs, the one to Lagos and the one of last week to Kano. You also recall that we identified and pleaded even before now with certain classes of persons, particularly VIPs, to desist from flouting such guidelines. Unfortunately, we have received reports about violations by some dignitaries who failed to follow the protocol at our airports. And these protocols are meant to protect all of us. We believe leaders must lead by example. In truth, as leaders and followers, we must change our behavior if we must overcome this pandemic. We can't keep doing the same thing every time and expect a different result. This virus does not discriminate by status, age, tribe, creed, or color. And I would add, it has also exhibited that it does not even discriminate by your trade or your profession. Because we can see the fatalities that have occurred by reasons of infections and even death to our medical workers. So COVID-19 is not a respecter of persons or status. So that behoves on us as a people to ensure that the basic guidelines, which are the only source of protection we have now, are complied with, because it's for the good of self, your loved ones, your families, and the community at large. I now invite the Honorable Minister of Health, thereafter the Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, and the National Coordinator to the PTF to present their updates. I thank you for listening.